critical EDH, where the wings are hot, but the questions are even hotter. Speaking of things that are hot, I'm Eric, and I'm here with
Logan.
And today we're bringing our 4th iteration of keeping tabs on
Something
cEDH.
like that.
Yeah, I mean, thank you guys for watching. It's really become a passion project of ours. A lot of exciting things happening in cEDH, including our first tab and one of our first sponsors, the Land Go Open. Bring! Who's that? It's us, calling all cEDH tournament grinders. Are you ready to battle for a $10,000 prize pool?
The Land Go Open is happening April 20th and 21st in Nashville, Tennessee at the Millennium Maxwell House Hotel.
2 days Swiss tournament. First, you've got rounds. Second, top cut. And a single day event for losers only. just kidding.
We won't call them losers. We'll call them not winners. Yeah.
For real though, this is they always have really fun events the second day, and it's perfect if you didn't make top cut or if you just want to play more games.
Yep, 100%. First place walks away with $3,400. And the pricing extends way down into the top 16 as well. So you're rewarded for not only doing well, but all the way down to top 16. Even if you don't quite make it to first, you're still walking away with a good bag.
Well, I am intending on taking home that $3,400 for myself. I do still have to sign up, as do you. I would highly encourage you. It is currently $85 until the end of March, and then the price goes up to $100. Still very reasonable for a tournament of this size, but if you get in early, you can save yourself a few extra dollars.
Proxies are totally allowed so long as you use clearly written MDFCs or color test cards. No Sharpie scribbles, please, and the full proxy rules are on the site.
And the venue includes free parking, free Wi-Fi, and a shuttle to get you to downtown Nashville. Plenty of time to explore the town between rounds.
I've never been to Nashville. I really want to go. I'm super excited.
Me either. I have ordered Nashville hot wings at so many different restaurants.
Nashville hot chicken's so popular in Denver, but I want to taste some real Nashville hot chicken.
Absolutely. So while Nashville may be the place to go if you love chicken, this tournament is the place to go if you love high quality cEDH tournament games.
For sure. So head over to topdeck.gg and check out the featured event. It's right on the front page, and register now before it gets too late and too expensive.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Really hoping we get to go. Now that we've started attending more tournaments, I've really started to appreciate these bigger 2-day events because they just give you so much more to experience. And even though you're still playing cEDH, it brings out a very different side of the game and a lot of different aspects of being like a player than just a one day or like a Saturday night event.
Dude, $85 for a 10K? Oh, that is amazing.
That's really good pricing. And I think you get a playmat for being a part of it.
We do have a little playmat.
Pretty
here.
cool.
I don't
playmat.
think you get a playmat, but you can purchase the playmat.
The playmat is there. Dude, so hey, all the more reason to, if you want this playmat, sign up right now. Use that after $15 put towards the playmat. Practically pays for itself.
Yeah. So thank you very much to the Land Go Open for sponsoring this video. I'm sure we could improve our ad read for next time, but these guys are really awesome. We're really excited to check out one of their events. We haven't yet gotten a chance to do that, but we've heard really good things.
Super duper excited to attend.
And hopefully you'll see us there, because I think we're planning on going. We can't quite commit yet. It's a little ways out for us, but
that's the goal.
We really want to do some streaming, some commentating on the site, on the spot, on the site, interviews as we normally do, all that fun stuff.
Speaking of recording things, take us to the next tab, Logan. Lamora's ROG Thrass documentary.
Man, you certainly chose a thumbnail of it.
I was trying to find a thumbnail that showed both ROG Thrass and Lamora.
Well, he's always there.
He is always there, and he is always
that Breeze
there.
Caller?
Breeze Caller, so interesting. I really liked watching this video because I've picked up ROG Thrass recently, and I am still learning just how many different iterations of the deck there's been previously, and this is a very different version of the list than like Pigeon plays. And so a lot of people around us have picked up that kind of like cradle farm ish, but this is much more the kind of token farm side of he is doing so much more stuff kind of along like the Chatterstorm lines or creatures that have that kind of effect. And so it was really, really interesting to watch. I think even if you aren't interested in playing Rog Thrass, it is worth your time to watch because I think the deck is definitely doing a lot of things in the format right now. And maybe
what would you explain? Like, what is the difference between cradle farm and token farm? Because to me, tokens, if you make a lot of tokens, you kind of pump your cradle. Does the same thing. But what are the key differences in your mind?
At least as far as I've seen, and I've tried really hard to take in as much as I can from the Rock Thrass Discord, but it's super big and people are always talking about different stuff. So I apologize if I misrepresented you guys. Hop down in the comments and correct me. But I think Cradle Farm is kind of the more like generic Simic plus like a little bit of red, where you're trying to do a lot of like untapping stuff. Whereas
so like more candelabra,
like that.
And like Displacer Kitten stuff?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think Displacer Kitten is really big in both. But then you have this kind of sub aspect of it, which is like the Third Path Iconoclast, the Sahili, all these things that while you're storming, you are also generating a bunch of tokens. And so that is going to use even less red. Oftentimes you're not on Breach. You're not on Song of Creation. You're not on Wheel of Fortune in the way that a more like Cradle Farm list might. But instead you're going all in. Like on his list, he's got Geode, the Moag Ancient, and
that's the MH3 one or something.
It was the one Simic food chain
from Commander from MH3 Commander. So, excuse me, the Modern Horizons Commander. Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, Wizards. Thank you for that.
But it is super interesting. I haven't gotten the chance to play this, but I know playing in some online games, there's a lot of people who have really, really liked it. I think another card that's very emblematic of this style is Skull Clamp.
Okay.
So
the idea is like Earthcraft and equip Skull Clamp to like a creature that you just tapped, basically. Okay.
So instead of trying to create a bunch of mana and then pump it into Thrasios, you're trying to create a bunch of tokens and then draw cards via that method.
Interesting.
Which just kind of leads to they're both really low to the ground combos. And I think I'm a little bit less attracted to this because maybe it's just because I always play against you and you're always on Glarb, but I am terrified of Culling Ritual.
Speaking of which, there's a video that's not quite out yet, but it will be soon. It's up on Patreon, actually, so join the Patreon. Even the free tier. Yeah. And I double Culling Rit within like 2 turns.
So good.
And you're playing Rock Thrass. You're just like, all right, I'm going to start chatting with other people.
Yeah. It was you. It's just so good. And then I know you're not on OBM, but I know OBM is still really, really good, especially with all these Ristic studies out. And so that is something I'm a little bit afraid of with this style, but other players who are maybe either better at playing around those pieces or metas that maybe aren't as Sultai heavy, I could see this list working really, really well. But like I said, it's that even if you're not a Rog Thrass enjoyer, I would recommend watching this just because I think this is emblematic of one of the movements I think trying to get underneath this Ristic study meta that we're in. And so even if you don't want to play it, even if you're very uninterested in, Aboro Breeze Caller stuff, you're going to see stuff like this at the tournaments you go to. And it's a very well put together video, and he does a lot of good teamer tech.
Speaking of well put together Rog Thrass videos, we've got one somewhere here. Yeah, this one here.
We made a Rog Thrass video.
Yeah, we were just kind of chatting about it like we are now. But if you want to hear more in-depth yapping, you can check out that video. And I think it's been doing pretty well. People have been liking that kind of style, especially talking to Jason. and his experience with it. He brings a lot to the table.
Yeah, you kind of had this pyramid of like Lamora doing all of like the token stuff, Pigeon doing exceptionally well at Fishbowl, and then the video on the MTG basics, and then me and Jason, who don't do as good as either of those two, but really have fun with the list.
I think Jason can do pretty well on any list you hand him. So, here's that video. Yeah. So there's us talking about that video or that commander pairing, and then
instead of commanders.
Oh man,
this is a 99.
It is rare. I would say once every 4 episodes we get to talk about these guys. That's a good card. Ya and Kyle, they love to pick out what might look like a random card to the average viewer and yap about it for a while.
Yeah, they are without a doubt the premier cEDH Orzhov podcast.
That's a running joke for them, by the way. So no, they definitely talk about all colors and stuff like that. Not Orzhov.
I think this is a great example. Kind of going back to, let's say like you're a Magda pilot through and through, and you see this show up, and you're like, I don't know if I feel like watching this podcast. There's no way I'm going to put sudden substitution in Magda. One of the things that I have really enjoyed about listening to the That's a Good Card podcast is I think they do the whole show is about evaluating cards, and I have learned a lot about how to approach all the different options that make a card good, as well as they also talk about things that make cards bad. And so I think it's just listening to them, I think it's kind of helped me improve. I don't know if it's improved my deck building quality because I'm not that good of a brewer, but I think it has given me more tools with which to evaluate the cards I'm shoving into the 99.
Yeah, I took a lot of inspiration from them for our podcast and the way that we structure things, because they look at things from the good and the bad, and they have a very open conversation about it, regardless of what card it is. They could be talking about. It's funny. I think last April Fools they did Dockside, and I think it was like that's a bad card. but they can pick a card such as sudden substitution, and then they sit and they go, here are the pros and here's why it's strong, and here's the situations in which it can be strong, and then here are the downsides, such as it's 4 mana. And it doesn't really do anything. It's very conditional, that sort of thing. But taking a step back and looking at those aspects and looking at things critically. Oh my God, I said it. It's super important, because we as cEDH players love to put things in boxes of this is good, this is bad, this is not viable, therefore I don't think about it again. And then all of a sudden Thunder Trap Trainer is popular. And like, when I tutor for it all the time when this set was spoiled, like I totally wrote this card off as being trash. Stuff like that. So I'm always happy to see them putting out an episode, and I wish they would put out episodes more, but I know it's a lot of work for them.
Oh yeah, so. I think it's a lot of work because they do really high quality stuff.
Our content's not as much work because we don't really edit very much.
But that's I love what you're talking about. That idea of moving past phrases like objectively bad or obviously good, and instead, in the same way that like if you listen to some of the pro players talk about trying to improve in politicking skills, they'll say try to attach conditional yeses to things. So instead of saying like don't counter this, say can you not counter this so that I can draw you cards off your Ristic Study or things like that. I think sudden substitution is a great example of is it a good card? Well, if you have access to a lot of mana and you're in a deck that doesn't mind holding up a lot of mana as you kind of go around the table, then sudden substitution is significantly more valuable than in decks that are trying to do everything on their turn. And just little things like that, kind of going back to that conversation that we got to have with Ian and Max at the Only Flubs event.
Check out that video, by the way. I'm really happy with the way those interviews turned out. It was such a fun interview.
They were talking about the importance of adapting and improvising within cEDH, and I think that extends to deck building. and imagining the worlds in which the card could be good or it could be bad, that may be just beyond the veil, that just beneath the surface of how the card reads.
Yeah, and for this card specifically, it's in the context of what? Is this a good card in Xur? Probably not.
Probably not.
Is it a good card in Blue Farm that runs only good cards? Also probably not. Is it a good card in Kinnan? Well, maybe. Kinnan can make a lot of mana. And are you running like a control shell Kinnan? So like maybe it would fit really well there.
Kinnan has a ton of random tiny creatures on hand.
Yeah. And
here's
then
an Elvish
I think
Mystical thing to add
this actually came up because of Pigeon and his success with Rog Thrass at Fishbowl, and he got second running this card.
There are so many random things you can do with this card. One thing that I believe they talk about on this podcast is you can cast a wheel if someone has like revealed an OBM, or if an OBM is on board, then holding priority on the wheel, you can steal their OBM. You could trade the swan song, token or whatever.
Is this a wrong side card?
This card is one. I just think a great example of how split second is always a little bit busted, but also this deck really, really pushes the envelope of your ability.
Deck or card?
This card really pushes the envelope of your ability to conceptualize different board states.
Yes.
And I at the very least, this card makes for a lot of stories.
It's one of those you have to use your mental imagery to imagine situations in which it could work, and then when you go to play it, all of those walls and images like break down immediately, because you're like, oh, this either works way better than I thought it would, or it's way worse.
Yeah.
So
like when we were talking with Ken about evaluating cards, it's so funny how many times I've been in games like on Blue Farm, and like it's a bad moment for Adnaz, so Adnaz feels terrible in my hand, but you really have to push past that initial instinct to be like, Adnaz is just, it's a terrible card. People shouldn't run it.
Yeah. So anyway, regarding this, go check out That's a Good Card podcast, and it's another great hit from them. Their quality is like top notch, really good.
Very impressed by them.
Shout out to them.
You can check out their episode on artist talent, and they shout out Logan.
Artist Talent and Reverent Silence.
Yeah.
I got two episodes. All right. Moving on.
MTG Basics.
And Critical EDH collab. Coming soon.
Dude, I am so excited to play with the MTG Basics guys. They reached out to us, asked if we wanted to play some games.
Jesus Christ. If you thought I had deck paralysis, didn't say the other word. Deck paralysis. When it comes to playing at tournaments and me not knowing what to pick, when Raul messages us and goes, "Hey, like we need your deck list. We're gonna prepare and like do all this stuff." I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna take. Like how many games we're gonna play. Like, do I need to just play what I'm comfortable on? We're gonna like show off, or am I gonna punt, or what, all those things.
I both couldn't say yes fast enough because love the MTG Basics guys. They're always so much fun. Whenever one of them is in a pod with me at a tournament, guaranteed good game. Even if
Not only that, they're really fucking good.
They're
really good.
I lose to them all the time, but they're always super great to talk to after games and be like, "Hey, are there any like pieces of feedback you give me?" And they're always very humble, but also willing to like offer their perspective. But also exactly like you said, I still am not entirely sure what I'm gonna play. Because if I'm going against like Jonah on Kinnan or Raul on TNT, I'm hosed, bro. I got zero chances.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of the events of all time, and we will do our best to show up and show out. You know,
Heck yeah!
Very excited for it. That's going to be before our locals on Saturday, so we got to kind of wake up, go up there, see them, hang out with them, play a bunch of games, and then immediately after that, go play at our local, which is like silver event.
Yeah, one of two things is going to happen. Either we will just be like fired up from playing like all afternoon, or our souls will have left our bodies and we will crash out so fast.
No, you know what's going to happen is we're going to get really, really good warm-up games with those guys. And then I think all 4 of us or whoever we end up playing with, we're all going to like crush locals. That's my prediction. And then we're going to be meeting in top 4 and be like, you want to record this game too?
We're gonna show up in like round 1 going like 100 miles per hour and everyone else will have like just gotten there.
Yep. So super excited for this collab. I don't know when all this stuff is going to come out. I don't know what the release schedule's like. I know that it's a little bit easier for us to turn out videos than some of these other bigger channels that do a lot more production than we do. So for now, just look forward to it, and we have a lot of collabs in the works right now. This is just one of them. Next tab,
Commander Invitational, Blight Club, Too Deep.
Dude, this was so fun. I think we were both really, really looking forward to traveling up to this event. This was the only Flubs. I keep calling it that. I don't know if that's the actual name. It's the Flubs tournament, and it was up to 64 players. I think there were like 44 to 46 that actually signed up for it. And man, what a tournament! It was at a brewery.
So much fun.
Up in Fort Collins, Colorado. A lot of people traveled in.
So many people traveled. The vibes were immaculate.
I think there were like 10 or 12 from the Too Deep crew down in New Mexico. Also, Freedom Waffle was there. Comedian was there. Wounded Satellite was there. The Blight Club was hosting. They did a fantastic job. Really, really smooth. I mean, it's like, man, what good TOs there.
Yeah, they did a really good job looking out for everyone who was there. I think it is a great example of how one of the most important things, and this is going to sound really obvious, but you'd be surprised how often it gets missed. One of the most important things about tournaments are the people attending, and they were just doing a great job of making sure that like the tables were kept clear, that there was plenty of space for people to walk around, that there were breaks for people to grab like food or water, or they were really on the ball about keeping everything moving. And it just seemed like everyone was having a good time. They absolutely crushed it, and I could not recommend any other events that they host enough. It was really, really cool.
100%. And the vibes were just like so fun, and so good. Like it was a tournament through and through. Like people were fighting hard for their wins, being competitive, or as competitive as you can be on a storm deck, and it was kind of funny. Like they were commenting that, wow, there's like a surprising amount of interaction at this Flubs tournament. Like, so that was cool. They had proxied turbo full decks that people were either buying or using at the tournament. So it was very accessible. That was the really cool thing about it.
I think it is a really great way of showcasing how an event like this should be done. Both because they reach...
I don't know that anything could have been done better.
I don't. They
could have picked a day in which it did not rain. Like that's the most I have to say about it. Otherwise everything was fantastic. It was great.
Yeah, like the only negative thing for me was that upstairs was a little warm from like 5 to 6 p.m. Yeah. But I mean...
Well, and then the guy at the brewery just turned the air conditioner on. We're like, oh, it's kind of nice now.
Those guys are also super cool.
We got to chat with in the first interview video we did, I put that interview in there. We chatted with the head brewer from Gilded Goat, which is where the brewery where it was. And there's like so many parallels from building a Magic deck to brewing a beer, and we talked a lot about that, and talked about their passion for doing what they do, and it was super interesting because I think they were like actually by the end of that getting really keyed into what we were talking about, and then they kind of like chatted with us on and off for the rest of the night too. So the vibes were just like immaculate.
Yeah, if you're ever in Fort Collins and you're just looking for a place to grab a bite to eat, definitely would recommend the Gilded Goat.
It was so packed. It was so busy.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Other than that, like I mean, the oh god, the hat. He was Ken was just wearing this giant green 10-gallon hat the entire time. 99% of the time. He said, I never took the hat off. And then I was going through, like, scrubbing through footage, and I was like, hey, there's a guy in a hat.
Wait a minute.
That's not Ken.
Wait a minute.
And then, so he tweeted about, like, not taking the hat off and how he won the tournament and all that. And I was like, how do you explain this? And he's like, oh my God, I'm caught.
Caught.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would highly recommend if you and people in your LGS are interested in this kind of like alternative tournament, reach out to these people.
Yes.
Either, hit them up on Discord just to get some tips and tricks.
And it's more likely than not that the Blight Club has some sort of extension in your area because they exist kind of everywhere. And they're a group of people that want to put on these events, not just like off-kilter cEDH events, but also real cEDH events too. They're really good at it, and I definitely recommend hitting them up in their Discord or on their Facebook. They have social media like everywhere. They've got it figured out.
But yeah, I feel like a story that I hear from a lot of people is that there's not a big cEDH scene where they're at. And I think this is a great way if you're trying to grow the scene where you're at. Communities like this are looking to find people who are interested, and you are always going to be surprised, I think, by just how many people want to do what you're doing and are willing to drive someplace to do it, especially for cEDH. Like, people want to play.
Yeah. I do want to talk quickly about us and what our plan was going to this event. I think we had both kind of like briefly considered competing in the event. But I was talking to Eric and I was like, maybe this is a good opportunity for us to just do some coverage, take a weekend day off and like travel together, kind of relax. Our wives came up with us and stuff.
It was great.
I won't get into the weeds about like, how the sausage is made too much. But we went up early in the morning, recorded a short video, and by short I mean it was like an hour and a half in the car of just us yapping. You might find that on Patreon or something. And then like we went in, we just started firing off interviews, walking around talking to people, trying to stay out of the way because there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of cool Freedom Waffle picks. That was really awesome.
I spilled my entire water bottle in my magic bag. Taking cards out of my binder, wiping them down with a paper towel. I spilled my dice bag over like the entire.
You were like on one that day. Like you got everything dried off. You're like, good, I am set. And you like come down the stairs immediately, dice bag just everywhere. Like so the whole top floor was where the event was, and you come down this like small little staircase, and then there's the main bar area where all the rest of the patrons are that are not playing Magic. And you drop a dice bag and like everybody's like, oh shit, like let me help you pick this up, and they're like picking up like D20s and D10s or whatever.
I don't know if I told you this. I was chatting with Jose after the top four wrapped up, and there was just some dice on the table upstairs, and he's like, do you want these? They were just sitting on a table down the stairs, and I was like, bro, I think those are mine.
Yeah, it was like 6 hours later, like, and he's like, wait, no, this is mine.
Like maybe 100 people had come in and out, and tens of Magic games, and I was like, oh my god, I think that's my D6.
I think that these type of experiences, whether it's playing Magic or just spending time with friends, are memories that we are going to remember for a really, really long time. Especially like just these little moments where we're all panicking because you spilled water on cards, and we're like, there's $1,500 of cards laying around, on the low end.
Oh man.
And,
yeah.
And then like white knuckling the drive home because we can't see and it's like snowing.
Gosh. Yeah.
What happened? What you guys picked the weirdest day for this event where it's just the fool's journey, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, hey, more of the story is cEDH tournaments are fun.
Yes.
I think people can be scared or daunted. They have this idea, they've been flicking through channels. They've seen professional poker on ESPN, and they're like ESPN 6, and they're like, ooh, I don't know if I'll enjoy this. And people are just laughing and having a good time. Actually, I think we're right there. We skipped a few.
Did we skip a few tabs?
We did skip a few.
Oh my goodness.
So here, start with that one.
Which one? This one? What are we talking about with this one?
This was supposed to be our intro picture, I think.
Oh, that's cool. We're really on the ball today.
But this is an intro into the fact that this is on a playmat that Gold Sabertooth drew for us.
And this is a playmat we've been talking about for a few episodes now, and things that I've been chatting up with on Patreon and on our Discord. Gold Saber drew some incredible art on stream, and really took what I had as a vision, or we had as a vision, and put it to paper. And we've got the Bane of Progress on the one side, big 6-mana creature on the one side, and then we've got another big 6-mana creature on the other side, which I don't have the picture up right now.
We can't show it because it's the Denver secret tech.
But these playmats are going to be available soon, and I'm trying to make them as affordable as possible, because really we just want high quality playmats, and we want people to enjoy them just as much as we do. So this is going to be our first one. Probably not our last one, but this is so cool, and there's lots of little references you may or may not get in this picture. But it's super awesome. I think he's still streaming. Oh my gosh, he's streaming.
Working on Derevi right now.
He is a madman.
I love that
this
we.
Is Derevi?
I love that we record at the same time that he streams. I feel like we're brothers in arms.
Yeah,
in the trenches.
He was giving out I think a original art Dragon. If they hit a certain level of viewership,
he more than likely will not be streaming by the time you're watching this video, even though he does sometimes stream into the wee hours of the morning. But he did post on Twitter, as did Cal, that if the stream got above 50 people, that they would be giving away the like artist proof version, right? The original version of the playmat. So
we're super excited to continue to work with Gold Saber. He's been an absolute pleasure and a really, really big supporter of us, both in just encouraging us and telling us that we're on the right direction, we're on the right path, we're doing the right things, and also connecting us with others and all of those things. I mean, he's also just an incredible competitor, and we kind of look up to that as well.
For sure. I think I would encourage anyone who is who wants to like be a part of like cEDH tournaments in this like top scene, but isn't sure how to like join that conversation, hop into his chat, and just say, hey, like I'm going to a tournament, like any tips for me, or he is just like he'll probably go on like a 20-30 minute rant about like, oh, you got to do this, or here's how you get your mind right, and all that stuff. And just based off of like how much of the Magic community likes the stuff that he sells, and he travels to a lot of tournaments, I would be willing to bet that odds are there's someone in the Saber Cups community who's probably going to the same tournament that you are. So definitely a super solid resource.
Oh, I guess he's done.
Good for him.
Here's the whole plan.
Here's the full kit and caboodle.
Yep. So I think part of our vision was to have a black and white playmat, because that's not a Gold Saber style that's very often used. And we had chatted with him like,
breaking the mold.
Is that possible? Is that something you want to do? And he's like, oh, I haven't done that in a while, or like really at all. And so he said he was like practicing a lot to try to get it right, so that when he actually put pen to paper, that it would turn out the way that we had envisioned it.
Dude, it looks so cool.
So that's that for now. Hopefully more news about that soon.
Yeah.
The plan is to have it at the Heisenberg. So if you're going to the Heisenberg, hopefully you'll see that there, and maybe you'll see some tokens and stuff as well. Speaking of which,
we did it.
Yeah,
500 subscribers.
500 subscribers. We're actually quite a bit past that now.
It is crazy to me. You can see here, just in the last month, we've gotten
like
roughly 300. We were talking about this. We went to Quick Trip before this. We were talking. I am still so continuously humbled and grateful for how many people have kind of come along this cEDH journey with us. Whether it's if we're at tournaments and interviewing people and they come and say like, "Oh, I love your videos. I'd love to get the chance to talk to you guys," or for all the people who jump in the comments or watch our videos on Patreon. Like this channel is you guys. Like we're only here because of all the people like you watching this right now who have kind of come along and interacted, whether that's commenting on how much I'm yapping in the middle of games or anything of that ilk.
Or destroying audio equipment or making recordings unusable for one reason or another. Yeah. Who's to say?
It could have been either one of us. It's always me. But I think we just want to take a moment to say thank you. Like what makes critical EDH is the people who watch it and come alongside us. And so we just appreciate you guys.
Yeah, 100%. And if you ever feel like we're headed the wrong direction or we make a misstep, a mental misstep, or just anything that you're like, you guys could be doing this better, we want to hear about it. We want to be critical of ourselves. We want you to be critical of us. We want to make the best content we can. I know that I don't spend a lot of time editing videos, but that's kind of like, I think maybe what gives us a little bit of our charm, where we're just very free flowing, free form, just kind of speaking our minds. And even in our gameplay, you might have seen in our first episode where I'm like editing the player and what they're playing, but I'm like, just let the game play out, because if I can't fit an 80-minute game into a video on YouTube, like there's something wrong with the game, right? So like, I do appreciate other channels that edit down their videos, cut the slack out of the video and kind of move things along. But also like for us, we're playing in the local game store. We kind of want to give that vibe. You get a little bit of background noise. You hear the coffee grinder going in the background, or they're yelling out orders like
a big smoothie,
or your cheese Danish or whatever, like stuff like that. But we're real people. We play in the local game store with other real people who may or may not be interested in like being on the channel and all that stuff, and or even just like creating content. They're just they just want to play games and stuff. So we're trying to keep ourselves grounded, trying to do all that stuff, but hopefully we're making content you like and something you can listen to in the car or whatever.
In the same way that we communicated, the Gold Sabertooth, our vision for the playmat, and then we were on this room together and it came out as this product that I think we're all really, really happy about. Me and Logan and Jason, and I think so many of the people who have been on this channel with us, we all have this vision of growing as cEDH players and growing the cEDH community. And that's something that we want to do with you guys. And so hopefully, in the same way that we can, look back on this playmat, we can all look back on this, tournament scene that we're all a part of. And be proud and respect the way that we're all each taking strides, not only to improve ourselves, but the scene itself.
We've made so many good connections with people in our Discord and our comment section already, and especially people on Twitter. We love when people tweet at us, or we love those interactions. So please keep doing that. We'll try to respond and be on top of as much as possible. We're trying to grow our Patreon as well. If you want to donate to support us, that helps so much. If you don't, or you can't, please do not feel like you need to. Do not stretch your means to do so. All of our content is free to all tiers of Patreon, including the free tier. If you want to donate, that is just out of the kindness of your heart to do so. Otherwise, we still release everything early on Patreon, because the way that YouTube metrics work, they don't really like it if you release more than one video a day. And we have a lot of backlog of videos. So some of the stuff won't even make it to YouTube, like probably our long car ride that we talked about earlier. I don't know. Like, I have other videos that need to be posted before that. So like maybe if there's an off day, I'll post that. But anyway, this is just to say thank you very much for everything so far. We're really excited for everything that's coming up in the future. Including the next tab. Yeah.
If you want to move on to, we mentioned this a couple times during our last one, but we're making gameplay now.
Yep.
Super shout out to Logan. I think I say this at least once an episode, but you did a great job handling the tech for this. I think it came out really, really well. And it was super fun just to be a part of the game. We already have 3 or 4 lined up.
Yeah.
And so
and we have the top 4 of the Flubs event recorded.
Man,
and
so
I'm
cool.
so excited for that because
my
they were like
favorite part of
unsure about it. I was like, no, guys, I can do this. They're like, how long does it take to set up? I'm like, 10 minutes. And they're like, all right. And so we set it up and we recorded it. But yeah, so
you can watch the shadow cast by Ken's hat.
I have to say, we all recognize that the 3 of us especially contribute something very different to the channel. Not to be high on myself, but I'm very good with technology.
For sure.
That's what I love doing. I'm also a technical thinker and writer. So I like to be more analytical about stuff. You are very like, you're the yapper. So like when
Yep.
we went to do interviews and I saw Wounded Satellite and Comedian there, I'm like, I'm gonna go sit down. You talk to them, and like that interview was fantastic.
They were
But
so
I don't
much
think
fun to
that I would
talk
have
to.
contributed anything to that, even though I'm friends with those guys. So you contribute in a lot of different ways, and then Jason contributes by winning a lot,
Winning all the time.
And speaking of winning, he wins this game.
He wins this game. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I think this is a great example. I'm trying to remember who I was talking about. This is a video I think you should watch if you want to see a good example of someone who not only takes the lead early on in the game, but holds on to it the entire way throughout. He does a great job of, he doesn't knock any player out. Everyone's in the game the whole time, but he never gives anybody more than a single inch than he wants them to have. And that's an area I'm trying to grow as a player, right? Because you can't just like get rid of all of someone's resources, because everyone's been in that experience of where like someone removes your
I'm
wrist stick and
I'm
your
taking someone out by mental misstepping their soul ring. And it's like, no, you're not.
and then 30 seconds later you're like, you got anything for this?
Yeah.
And so this is a great example of I think the right amount of resources to deny your opponents.
Jason puts on a absolute masterclass in this video. I think that 99% of cEDH players can learn something from what he does in this video. Not to say the least, this is not his deck. This is my deck. Yeah. He puts on a absolute show with a deck that he is not familiar with.
Yeah.
And not to say that this is not me saying my deck is good. This is me saying that he does not play this deck. Like this is probably the second or third time he's played it total. And man, it's just like, I wish I was on that level.
Yeah, me too. I forget picking up decks I've never played before. I can pick up decks I've played 100 times and punt unbelievably fast.
100%.
But kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, this is specifically an area that we are looking for your feedback.
Yep.
We really want to hear, I liked this aspect of it, or, this kind of like domain of it was like hard to watch, or things like that. We're still very early on in the experience of recording gameplay, and so that kind of feedback you guys have is super duper valuable to us.
Yep. And hopefully you enjoy watching it. Almost 1,000 people have enjoyed watching it so far, so if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it.
That's awesome.
All right, moving on. We did that. Holy, I just skipped so many.
Here we go. SCG Con Denver.
We talked about this last time, and it keeps getting closer.
Yeah.
Are you excited for it?
I am very excited. I've never been to a Magic Con before.
This is not Magic Con.
No, but it is a con
of magic.
Involving magic.
Yeah.
But no, it's not a Magic Con. That's true.
No.
It's the
SCG Con is almost it's probably better than Magic Con.
I probably need to change. Yeah,
no shade to the Wizards, but like these guys have been doing it for a while.
I am so excited. There's tons of artists. Because you were mentioning there's a few that you're specifically interested in.
Yeah, I can get Mark Tedden to sign my Mana Vault for a second time.
Oh, let's go.
No, there's so many artists I actually haven't seen in person. I've only seen the ones at Fishbowl. I haven't really seen any other artists in person. And that experience of getting to meet them and chat with them and just seeing like their binders and like flip through it is so cool.
The amount of times I've met someone I look up to and then I had the experience of like, holy cow, they're a normal person.
So, quick story at Fishbowl, they did a call on like round 2. They're like, if you parked your car at the hotel and you don't have the parking tag, they're gonna tow it.
Yeah.
This is my impression of Baldy. And we're like, oh shit. We stayed at the hotel, but the other guys drove the car. I was like, I wonder if they put the parking tag back up. So I called a judge and I said, hey, I need to go check. And so I'm like sprint walking to the car. And so there's a guy next to me and he's just chatting with me, and I was like, "Oh, what deck are you playing today?" He's like, "Oh, I'm one of the artists." I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, hey. Yeah, so we chatted for a while, and but he's super nice, and just like having that experience of, you see their art on the card 1,000 times, right, and then you kind of forget that a real person spent hours, like probably 100 hours drawing it, finishing it, going back and forth with proofs and saying, send it to Wizards, is this what you're looking for? They say no, you need to fix this or whatever. And then just the whole process, like you that all gets lost, and then it's on a piece of cardboard, and then now you can go talk with them and get artist proofs or signatures. It's just so cool.
You're just flipping through this binder and you see 100 up the beanstalks with like a white back, that has like single-handedly like crushed individual formats and they're like, oh, I remember drawing that card. It was kind of fun. So hopefully you're gonna have some more of those experiences at SCG Con. We're also planning on playing in their cEDH event. I think. Do you know what you're playing?
The most accessible deck for me is Glarb. Rogsai or Wrongsai is also probably a really high contender because I think that deck has a lot more agency than Glarb does. But I'm missing a few more of the duels and stuff from that deck. But I would just need to talk to Jeff, our local store owner, and just borrow them. But yeah, I think it'd be okay to play either one of those. I know that my Glarb list is kind of like being fought over by some of the level 7 guys because they want to play it. But I don't know, like, if that's fine. Like, this happened to me at the last weekly. I was like, please, someone play this, so I don't want to play. There's nothing wrong with the deck. I just kind of like need a break from it. And like every time it calls to me like the fucking Green Goblin mask in Spider-Man, I'm like, I need to play it. But like if it's not there, I'm not going to play it. So we'll see. I think either of those are a pretty good option. What about you?
I'm deciding between I feel super up in the air. Lumra, Blue Farm, or Rog Thrass. I think we don't have a tab for it, but it recently came out that we're expecting the Commander unbans April 22nd. And so
but that's after this.
It's after this. I was hoping to have prime time in the deck going into Heisenberg.
Okay, the professor was so confident last week that Breach would be banned in Modern yesterday, right? Like 99% chance, and then it was like, yeah, the 1% chance that if it doesn't, like, I'll eat my own shoe or whatever. What's your percentage chance of prime time?
I bought the most expensive version of prime time I could afford.
Was it $7?
Like 2 months ago, it was $17. Okay. It's like the whatever the version from like the set that like Bergie and all the Coldheim. But no, I've been playing a lot of it on online leagues, and I'm just really.
You're playing an illegal deck on online league.
I gotta put Black Lotus in somewhere. I've just not been winning as much as I want, which I'm totally fine with. I love playing decks to learn and enjoy, and even if I don't win, if I have fun, I'm still good. Still go with it. But I am also specifically over the course of the next few months trying to get a spot in the championship series, and so I think I do want to take it to a bigger tournament. So I think while I previously said I was planning on taking it to Heisenberg, I think I may take Lumra to this con, and then take Rog Thrass to Hberg.
I think this will get Lumra out of your system, and it's probably a good excuse to do so because it's not worth any top deck points. So if you're able to do that and still play in a large tournament, play 7 rounds or 5 rounds or how many rounds this is, I think that's a pretty easy end for you, because then you're like, okay, I can either do really well or you won't do as well as you want to, and then you're like, all right, I need to move on to something else.
I'm in a place that I feel like a lot of cEDH players could probably sympathize with, where like I know like my heart wants to play like one deck, but my head looks at EDH top 16 semi consistently, and even looking at my own records and tournaments, like I know what decks I can play and can perform consistently pretty well, and which ones I guess I'm not as good as a pilot on.
And some, it doesn't matter how good of a pilot you are, the deck has limitations as to like the ceiling of it. So
and so I think I feel very grateful to be able to play as much CEDH as I do, that I just get to play so many different decks. But yeah, so I think it'll either be kind of the last hurrah of this season before I move to other decks, or I just use this tournament in and of itself to just get more Blue Farm practice or Rock Thrass or something.
It's April 1st. This is being released on April 2nd. Let's not forget the cutoff for top deck points is July 20th.
Yeah. Yeah, it's time to grind, baby.
Yeah.
It's been time to grind for like 2 months. And so I will be very content and fine if I don't make it to the Top Deck Invitational. I don't make it to the Top Deck Invitational, but I don't want to like not be able to make it in because I was unwilling to
put in the work,
make the hard choices. You know, if I want to lose, if I'm not going to make it in, I want it to be because there's ways I need to grow as a player.
I think you need to rewatch Shoresy season 1 again.
God, I fucking hate losing.
They don't hate to lose.
Yeah, it's the what's that ninja clip? If you lose and you don't get angry, then you lose twice. But yeah, a lot of other people. I know a ton of the basics guys are going. I think comedians going as well, and hopefully we'll see you guys there as well.
Yep. And this will be a fun one to cover, even just from a non-tournament standpoint. I think we might just try to go another day, just to walk around with a camera or something, and chat with some peeps. So looking forward to that. And speaking of things we're looking forward to, this is missize. Let me see if I can make this a little better. Big news to us. We're now on the official travel guide.
We did it.
For the Heisenberg.
We made it.
Look at us. We're right there. Right there.
It's so exciting. We're right in between Freedom Waffle and Winning In.
Wow, that is not where we belong. We belong like somewhere down at the bottom.
Yeah. Wherever on this map represents a garbage can. No, I think this is just one more aspect of Heisenberg that we're really looking forward to. Is getting closer, literally each and every day. We are we're booking Airbnbs, we're picking cars.
Yeah.
And super glad that they put out this travel guide because I think it's going to make it that much more of a successful tournament for everyone attending.
Our executive producer, Miss Emily Doan, has been doing a really good job with Sarah to help put our travel accommodations together. They're also going with us, so it's kind of like a whole family trip for us. But aside from that, I saw this and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then Jason's like, no, we're on the flyer, like we're here. So this is getting like very real very quickly, and it's really thanks to our audience. So thank you guys. Anyway, still looking forward to the Heisenberg. That should be very fun. Speaking of things that are going on, what is this?
Deadpool. I love MTG Goldfish on their Twitter posts.
We're Fortnite now.
This is a legitimate card release.
Oh yeah, they said like, guys, this is April Fool's, but also like this is real. So
this is not a joke.
Yeah, alert! Secret Lair dropping in 5 minutes, and then you're gonna wait in queue for 2.5 hours.
This Rakdos Deadpool legendary creature. It's crazy.
Do you think it's actually going to be cEDH legal? Or EDH legal? I mean, it's got to be, right?
It has to be.
I mean, everything about it looks above board. Like it's got the regular, the Universes Beyond symbol, not the acorn.
All the other cards are pretty commander consistent.
Dude, Deadly Rollick reprint, gas. The cool thing, so there's a couple things about this that I saw that were really, really neat. One, the Deadly Rollick is templated like the regular border temp. God,
You got this. You got this.
no, I don't. The Deadly Rollick here with the unicorn is templated visually like the Deadly Rollick regular border one with the creature. I don't know what it's called. I don't know shit about Magic lore. It looks the same.
I get
And there's like the little guy running in the bottom, and then it's so like fourth wall breaking and Deadpool. It's like I normally charge for my mirror services, but I just can't say no to someone who controls their commander. So
That's hilarious.
There's a lot of really cool things about this. I think like the Saw in Half is so cool.
It's so cool. I love this. I think the Saw in Half's my favorite one.
Saw in Half is such a weird card because it has like the original version, that it's got the squirrel version, which is only printed in the Bloomborough
like Commander or something.
Commanders, and then this.
It seems really cool. I'm interested to see if anyone brews this Deadpool for cEDH, because for cost it is kind of expensive for a Rakdos Commander. But
Holden
also,
Pryor was saying that it's a World Gorger outlet with Forbidden Orchard, because you can give your opponents infinite 1/1s that also kill them on their upkeeps with the Deadpool ability.
oh man,
Because you
wow.
switch the
Oh my word.
the text box of the 1/1 with the Deadpool, and I was like, I hate that, but like.
Okay, if it combos with World Gorger, maybe it's not cEDH viable.
Yeah, I think the Saw in Half is actually kind of neat too, because
Yeah.
if you Saw in Half the original, you do get 2 copies, and even if they don't both stay, they still switch text boxes with something. So it's kind of neat. But
This seems more like a card that will make its way into the 99, because it is able to like combo in some super weird way. I don't know if it's got enough in the zone.
maybe not. Did you see the text on this one? Look at me, I'm Chandra. So the reason that we brought this up, not only because it was released and sold out today and all that stuff, I actually managed to snag 3 copies, and then I thought it would be super fun to present Jason and Eric with a challenge. I said, I will give you a sealed copy of this secret lair if you can play my Glarb list at a 30+ player top deck tournament and get top 4.
Your exact Glarb list. And a little bit of backstory. People who know Logan knows that he loves like sharing brews with people, and if you show up on a Wednesday night, he's always passing out decks, and so he has so consistently tried to get me and Jason to pick up the Glarb list. He just barely managed to get him to do it, Jason to do it last Wednesday for the video, and both me and Jason responded so quickly, so early in the morning, like, we're in.
It was no hesitation, and both of you were like, yep.
I hate how into this I am. But yeah,
It's funny. You know a Magic player through and through. Would you say like free sealed product, or like yes?
So yeah, my plan is I'm playing your Glarb list this Saturday.
All right, hell yeah.
We'll see how I do. Hopefully I make top 4.
Well, you gotta practice it a little before.
It'll be interesting to pick up for me, because I've literally never played Glarb, but I haven't played Sultai since Kazran Ukama.
Oh, this is a standing offer, by the way. Like if you fail, it's not going to exclude you from trying again. You can try as many times as you want. If you hit that top 4, it's there for you. But
I have played against you playing Glarb though. So while I haven't thought the thoughts of a Glarb player, I've seen the thoughts on the board.
you've seen enough to know what you don't like, and that's you. I think you're going to come to the play pattern of like, would my opponents like this very much if I did this? And the answer is no. It's like, okay, I'll probably do that.
Yeah. Threat assessment. These players are having way too much fun. I can fix that.
So anyway, this is super fun. I think this is one of everyone can have their own opinions about the Fortniteification of Magic, but I think this is actually kind of a neat use of the Marvel property and a very cool and strange card that I'm sure we will see more of in one way or another.
Do you have like a strong opinion on the Fortniteification of
I don't like it, generally speaking. That said, am I addicted to buying secret lairs? Kind of. Like, you know, I do enjoy those things because, like, my Glarb deck, for example, it's all normal cards. I've got a couple secret lair cards sprinkled in because in cEDH, how many viable cards are being printed in secret lairs? Like, not a ton.
Not a ton.
So, like, I think I have the Japanese, like, Swan Song, the Miku Swan Song that's in there now. But that's it. Like, I don't really have a ton. So
this set, I think, has the most like relevant cards out of like most secret layers. Like, they just had that kind of like spring one with all the green cards
like,
in it.
Like the food tokens and like, this one.
Yeah.
Like Ashaya is a real deck and it needs another printing. So like, that's cool. But this is not what I would say is like a Fortniteification of Magic, right? This is just a unique printing. But like, where's the SpongeBob stuff? Oh, this stuff is super cool. Like this Clever Impersonator. We've only had the one printing.
I think that's super cool. These ones.
This is terrible.
Yeah.
This is horrendous.
This reminds me of like
This
the social
is
media
dragons.
ones they had.
This is weird fetish stuff. I'm not really sure about that.
She's a baddie, dude. You don't have to.
It's supposed to be like love. Oh, tragic romance, and it's literally just her and a dragon. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know.
Cats.
The
so much.
The cEDH thing has made me take a step back from like having to buy product and be engaged, and like I don't play standard, so I don't need the latest set. I don't need 4 of stock up or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever that mouse is that's like rampaging across the red deck. So cEDH, you kind of don't have to worry about this stuff if you don't want to. You'll see some of it, but it is a little frustrating to dilute what was cool about Magic, especially when I started, which was like Mirrodin and Kamigawa. When I was like, man, this is just pure fantasy, like high fantasy or dark fantasy or whatever you want to call it. And then that all kind of like turns into like, oh, well, here's the battle bus, like, or here's SpongeBob, and like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm on the side of like, as long as there is a Mirrodin version of the card they're making a secret layer of, do not care. Right? Because then people who are SpongeBob fans get what they want. People who don't like SpongeBob get what they want. I do think I would put my hat in the ring with the people who like were frustrated with like the Walking Dead set of
unique mechanics.
Like this
Deadpool.
This is the only way to like get this card. And so as long as they do some kind of like universes within version of this, and they just like throw it on the list in like the next set or two.
They say that they're going to do that, right? So they did the Captain America and all that stuff, Black Panther or whatever. But like, when are they doing those? Because if enough time passes and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to do it, but it's like 2 years later, does it matter?
Yeah. And are they doing it only about cards that were, really popular so that they can kind of like imbue some new interest in the set? Like that's my thing is like, I want Magic to be as accessible for as many people as possible. And so if,
well, I mean, when it comes down to it, Wizards is a company, they have to make money. But I also think on some level, Magic probably wouldn't exist if this stuff wasn't happening right now. Because I don't think that the game would have the popularity it does, whether it's attracting the right players or not. I also don't think that they would just have the funds to do what they do without this stuff, because there's been some like really low tier sets that have been released lately. And while they might make money or break even on them, the margins might not be high enough for them to like their shareholders to say, well, we need to keep doing this or not, or we need to cut back or whatever. So if this stuff is doing well and it contributes to a bigger picture for Wizards, I think it's fine, but it's kind of a shame.
Yeah, I definitely Man, I would love to be a fly on the wall at like Wizards of the Coast because
like a shareholders meeting.
Because I have a really difficult time trusting businesses this large to be consumer forward. Because at some point you just can't be that successful with the goal of making the best possible product
or making good decisions for your customers.
Because if
because on some level they're taking advantage of customers by making them wait in long secret lair queues, or they're printing the chrome mocks in ether drift, and it's like 1 in 1,000 chance that you get it. Like, it's a draw to buy more ether drift, and you're gonna have those people that just buy and rip collector boosters looking for it over and over again. And I think like we all go through phases. Maybe I went through a phase of that where I was like into opening product and stuff. I think it was really big into DMR, Dominaria Remastered, because like, dude, there's so many tutors. There's like Vamp tutor, Worldly tutor, like
they're everywhere.
And like that felt good in the Force of Will and stuff, but kind of taking the gambling risk and stuff. But like they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I just like, for instance, when they do serialized cards, I think that's a great example of you can take a card and you can put this really hard to get version of it. And so the people who are going to buy, hundreds of collector boosters packs, they're going to do it anyways. You give them something to chase, but then also putting these cards that are part of the mainstream kind of like the heart and soul of like either formats, or like Magic knows like the cards that players need. Making them accessible at more of a price point, especially so that more players can be a part of these Wizards of the Coast hosted events where you can't have proxies. And so that's another thing of where like I am all for them making as many like Deadpool cards as they want, just as long as they have an avenue for people to get this card who didn't have the time or the money to get 3 secret layer,
or they couldn't take off work because they couldn't stand in line virtually for the card or the lair or whatever. So.
So for me it's like an accessibility thing, but like when they do that, like all the Street Fighter cards, they also just made like normal Magic versions. And
it's just like, how long did it take him to do that though?
It took a while.
So that I guess that's my main concern. I think we've kind of opined on this enough. This is kind of a little bit out of our wheelhouse, but so anyway, hopefully you guys take to the challenge. If you don't, that's fine.
Hopefully, dude. I'd be thrilled to make top 4 in general, but especially you've been trying to get me to pick up the Glarb list, and
I think you would learn a lot from it. I don't know that it's like 100% your style, but I think it's another deck that could be a notch in the like, oh, I learned this aspect of play, whether it's politics or something like that, from this deck. You could learn something from it.
I am genuinely excited. The more I learn about myself as a player and as a person, the more I recognize that I really need a carrot on the end of the stick, or else I just ain't doing shit, bro. You did mention things being outside of our wheelhouse. Speaking of things that are kind of not in our periphery, Jason was throwing on our radar some overseas tournaments. This one was really interesting because there's a lot of decks in the top cut that you may not expect to see. Specifically, I think one that me and him really kind of latched onto, kind of caught our eye, was Yoshimaru Thrasios.
Yeah, this is. Oh, I need to click here. This one.
This deck is so cool. Me and him were. I think we were up till like 2 a.m. messaging about it.
So we've seen a lot of X Thrasios decks, or Thrasios X decks.
It's a good time to be playing Thrasios.
Rograk Thrasios, Tevesh Thrasios is really popular in our scene. A lot of people are taking the Rog Thrass and basically just transitioning it into black and giving it more consistency with universal tutors. What does white offer here? I mean, I'm presuming silences, and like, is Derevi in the 99?
Derevi's in the 99. I think this list has 6 different silences, all of which are tutorable via neoforming or eldritch evolutioning your commanders. As well as there are just so many A plus B combos for infinite mana and Bant. And so goldfishing this deck, there are so many ways to, on turn 3, almost always have infinite mana and a silence on board.
I think I'm going to have to look at this afterwards, but I think Arden could probably follow or just do the same thing, but maybe a little better.
Dude, I think this could be a great example of kind of going back to that cradle farm versus token farm. You could do the Arden tech with Skull Clamp, and you could start hitting everyone else's. Everyone else's.
So I have an Arden thrass list, like in paper, and I've been playing it.
It played pretty well.
Occasionally, I don't think it has any of the new tech from Breeze Collar to
Bright Glass is insane.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't have that. So it's kind of a more old school Arden thrass deck where you try to do Kinnan Basalt things, which I don't know if this is trying to do that or not. But
yeah, you were on Arden was, I feel like, your big kick after Tavesh.
It's just, I don't think it's broken. Like, I think it has a unique ability, especially with Helm of the Host. Just being able to copy any creature at the beginning of combat and just having a persistent copy of it. It's actually kind of weird because if you Helm of the Host Arden, you can just double Helm of the Host something else on your next combat.
Man, dude.
Or does it work like that? No, it doesn't. It only works once. Oh, interesting. Oh, you could. You would just multiple Skull Clamp things at each combat. So, yeah, you're right with the Skull Clamp. I think that was super interesting because I was seeing like a lot of Rograk and a lot of Ragavan and stuff like that, and just being able to kill those things. And draw like, 2 cards. It's
like,
really cool.
I will kill your OBM, I'll kill your Archivist, and then I'll draw 4 cards.
Archivist is a 2/2.
Is it a 2/2?
Yeah.
Dang.
Fairy Mastermind is 2/1.
Fairy Mastermind.
Yeah, there you go.
Archivist, you're safe for now.
So I think the Neoforming Yoshimaru into like Voice of Victory or Grand Abolisher, that's kind of novel because Yoshimaru doesn't really do anything, right?
Not done. He gets out early, so it's really easy to have Fierce Guardianship online, as well as like Mox Amber being able to cast Silence is nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see Arden working here as well. We were talking in the video that might make its way to Patreon about us needing to brew a deck together. Maybe we start with this and then Thrass Arden and then see which one ends up picking our fancy a little bit more.
If you think about Arden, it neoforms into Emil.
Oh.
And it can Eldritch into Seaborn.
That's hot.
So it's also not that good where you're not willing to sacrifice it at any point. It's 3 mana, so it's a little different on the scale than Yoshimaru, but it might provide a bit of additional value where this deck doesn't have that. It's trying to mimic the Rograk strategy, but it's probably not as good at it because it's white. So you might want to just relent and go more mid-range with Arden.
Well, maybe that's another challenge that we can adopt on ourselves.
We talked about decks that we need to build or we need to work on a deck together. This could be the one.
This could be your forever deck, the last deck we ever play.
Thrasios has been really taking over and seeing a lot of play. I think the commander is really good and it gives you a really solid mid-range backup plan. So it's not surprising me that other colors are going to show up. I think black, white, and red cover all of the colors in which blue and green are not. So, kind of interesting.
I think in the same way that before the bans, kind of any deck was viable as long as it could get a dockside out relatively quick. I think part of what makes Thrasios really, really viable right now is it just grinds so well and it lets you go really, really hard into mana. And considering how important it is to have a draw engine and how people are mulliganing for them, building your deck around having access to lots and lots of mana and then putting this element in the command zone that lets you do something with it. I think it makes sense that like Simic is a really solid place to be right now. But like you said, red gives you that explosiveness. Black gives you that consistency with the tutors, and it seems like white might offer some more like stability.
Black
maybe.
Also kind of gives you Thassa's Oracle, in which you're not playing Thassa's Oracle in either of these white or red editions. So having the I would say the defined win con is kind of a plus because I think Bant is still struggling in that regard.
Yeah, the win cons in this are Finale of Devastation and Fairy Mastermind.
Aye.
This guy's not even on Blind Obedience.
Yeah.
I
can
was
definitely see the struggles there, but hey, I mean, they won the tournament. So.
Yeah, so congrats to them. And speaking of making it across the finish line, we did it. We made it through all our tabs.
That was a lot this week.
Yeah, a lot going on in cEDH, but it's always great to see what's happening in the community. It's great to be a part of it.
For sure.
Definitely looking forward to what's on the docket for next week.
Yep. And until next time, that's all for now.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, can I find the stop button?
Bye-bye.
Here it is. Bye.